Practical Awakening with Di and Anjali. Hello, Anjali.
Hi. We'd like to first remind all of our viewers that are joining us now, if you're not subscribed to this channel and if you want to get notifications of our upcoming live streams, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Also, if you're interested in making a donation, you can do that through the link also underneath this description. And those donations we will use also to support this channel. So what else? I think that's it, and we'll get started with Di.
Thank you. Today's topic is acceptance, and we're going to absolutely get into it practically with practical, concrete examples of how we can accept everyday situations in our lives. We're not going to wax about it lyrical or theoretical or whatever, but straight into it. And it will make it very personal. So hold on. Now, to start with, we're going to turn inwards for 5 minutes. I would like us all to find the breath, couple it with the mantra. Just start opening the space a little bit for the pure being to encompass everything and to start streaming through. You can close your eyes, you can keep your eyes open. Sinking gradually with the breath. Our chest area expanding, our heart opening with the breath, with the mantra. Connecting all of us, everything. All in one heart, all in one being. Opening, expanding. And the heart is singing. With no words, just singing with silence. Going in. So warm, welcoming, so open. Acceptance, acceptance, open, warm, welcoming, embracing it all. Deeper and deeper down. acceptance. And now, slowly, shortly, we will open this big, big space of accepting. We will get into it. Deep. Acceptance. How can we accept? How can we possibly accept? How can we possibly accept everything? How can we possibly accept what we don't want, what we don't like, what we don't think is fair? What do we think it shouldn't have happened, but it did? How can we accept it? And yet, acceptance is the key to opening the space, to clearing the space, to connect with pure being as is. Acceptance. It's there. Acceptance is there. Acceptance is the key. And let me start this acceptance with my very, very personal experience of acceptance as it's happening at the moment, which is my dad's end coming closer and closer and closer. I am, and I have always been, daddy's girl, so that is really, really part of me, a big part of me. And his heart is sort of winding down. He's got a very serious heart condition, and it's coming to an end very, very quickly now. His physical strength is waning considerably, and even breathing has become an effort. And when Dad leaves his physical body, and I will no longer talk to him every day as I do, I will miss him. I will miss Dad so much. There was never life for me when Dad wasn't around. Dad was always there, and it won't be in a physical form very soon now. And I open up to it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward for Dad to leave behind all this effort to just stay alive, to breathe, to walk, to enter another life cycle where he will do a few things that he's always wanted to do. But there was not enough time, there was not enough opportunity, and he will do it. And he's been such a lovely, and he is still such a lovely, open, giving person. He's accumulated so much good karma in this life. And I'm looking forward to his next life cycle. And if I live long enough, I might see him reborn into somewhere close to me. And I might even know it's Dad. And I find this so lovely. And I'm so happy for all this happening as it is, and I'm completely open to it. As much as I will miss his physical form. But there is no resistance. It's so nice. It's just the way it is. Now, Anjali, I'm sorry
So I've
about
got
this
a
sort of a.
no, it's a good lead because we had a viewer ask the same question about death. We are uncertain of the circumstances, but Mitesh Shah asked about death of a dear one. I don't know if it was a child or a mother, a father, a wife, um, a husband. I don't know who it was, but so that's a good lead in. But I do have a question. It seems like it's easy when you talked about acceptance and it's just what is. Acceptance on a bigger scale, on a more general scale, it feels like it's easier to access when I'm in that space of silence. So, in other words, when I'm attaching or identifying to thoughts, that's when everything becomes like anxious or sad or angry or whatever emotions are arising at the time. But when I am sitting in practice in silence, that's when that bigger space opens. And what appeared to be unbearable maybe before, or frustrating, or just a source of anxiety no longer is. So my question is this just a matter of finding less identification with thoughts so that acceptance in all circumstances, I mean, acceptance is a huge, like, umbrella term for a bunch of things. So I don't know if you could say a few words about that.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Angie. This is excellent. This is it. This is the obstacle to acceptance, identification with the thoughts. This is what prevents it from happening in the first place. Because you see, acceptance, I mean, it's on so many different levels, as you said.
Mm,
If we are completely simple, we're accepting what's already here, what's already happened, okay? So it's just quite an absolute stupidity from just a completely common sense point of view to not accept what's already here. I mean, it's already
mm,
happened. There is nothing we can do about it. It's already here. But because we attach to the thoughts, and these thoughts are whatever they are. I'm so sad that this is like this. I don't like this. I don't want this to be like this. This is not doing me justice. This is, la 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 la. What's already
right.
here becomes an issue. Because we can have the same situation, you and me and whoever, and we all have different thoughts that we engage with in connection with that situation, but situation is the
Mm,
same. But some people accept it wholeheartedly because their thoughts are in sync with this. But some people can't accept it because their thoughts are completely not in sync with this. It enrages them, it makes them sad, it makes them absolutely angry, it makes them, frustrated, it makes them even despondent completely, depressed, even. You know what I mean? It's the
right.
thoughts. That's the only thing. It's the commentary. So, you see, it is what is, but it's the commentary on what is that brings up whatever it brings up.
So,
Whether
like
it's,
practical real life situation here. Someone, I don't know, let's say my mom's about to die. She's not, but let's say she is. I would have a lot of thoughts leading up to that, knowing that she's about to die, which would be sad. And then I would have the moment of death, which I would picture, I don't know what would happen at that time. I mean, I would picture thought kind of stopping because you'd be at the moment of truth right there. And then after, I'd be either rehashing in my mind, the event or how it should have been or what I didn't do or the guilt or whatever it is. Um, but all of that is thought, you're saying.
You're just processing all the time, even the event. It hasn't happened yet. So you have no
Right.
idea what's going to be inside for you when it happens. It's all just processing, nothing else but processing. Let's take something absolutely concrete, something in your life right now. If you can think of anything, maybe you don't have anything. But let's say
Oh,
that you have anything in your life right now that you find hard to accept, whatever it is. And then we'll go there and we'll say, what is it that we can do now in this situation where I am and I have this thing that I can't accept? What can I do practically to open up to it? Is there anything, Angie, at all?
I I can't accept that I've spent my whole life practicing and I don't feel like I've gotten anywhere. And I
Okay.
don't even know if I'll awaken by the time my actual physical death happens.
Yeah. Is that just awful?
It's I can laugh about it, but it feels depressing. It totally does.
It's just horrible, isn't it?
I feel you're not very sympathetic here.
No, I'm absolutely sympathetic, but you see, your reaction to it is different. I'm just trying to make this clear that to you, this just feels horrible and awful and just something that you cannot possibly live with. And you see how it brought laughter, which is really an opening already.
It is.
But
I
I'm just
mean, and I have to say to all the viewers out there who are dealing with a death or something that is like more traumatic, a child's death or someone who's paralyzed in their family or whatever it is, those are like serious issues. In some ways, mine feels like a serious issue, but all things, being equal, somehow I feel like there's, family members going through war with governments and yada yada yada, and those
no,
are
no,
serious issues.
Angie, these are not no, no. For you, this is your serious issue.
It
For you,
is.
this is the issue that is bigger than life in a way. And just embrace it. This is my big issue. I really struggle with this. Sometimes it brings me to tears.
It
Sometimes I feel
does.
completely depressed. I don't even feel like getting out of bed. What for? I'm going to face another day of this trying that it's not getting me anywhere, of this trying to bring something about that might never happen, and I might just die even without anything happening at all. And I've been trying this all my life. That's a huge
Yeah.
issue. So what to do to open yourself up to it? Now, let's go step by step. Give me the thought that almost brings you to tears or makes you really depressed, or just name it. What is the thought? One of them, but one really big one.
That awakening won't happen in this lifetime.
Okay. So you've got this thought now. Awakening for me won't happen in this lifetime. It won't happen. Now, what you do is you have this thought, you're concentrating on this thought, however hurtful it is, okay? You're with it. You're not letting it go. You are with it. And then you turn in and you find the breath and the mantra. And look at the thought. Don't let it go. Look at the thought.
Well, it goes away.
And that's your practice. You don't practice with nothing. You practice with things that bother you. And the more they bother you, the more you practice with them.
But is this not, it's interesting because like I used to take thoughts like this and practice like self-inquiry, which would, so I'd ask myself the question, to whom is this appearing? I'd be sad or depressed, and I'd ask myself, to whom is this appearing? And when you sink into that question, the focus shifts into a witness, like I'm in a witness, I'm a witness to what is. I'm no longer like balled up in the thought or the feeling or the emotion of it. But it feels like that, I don't know, someone recently told me that's not the way. They just said, just feel all the emotions of it. If it's grief, if it's
Anjali,
anger, just,
do not do not multiply the thoughts. Do not analyze. By even asking yourself, who is it that this is appearing to, you are starting this cycle of thoughts. Don't ask
mm,
yourself anything. You see how you are actually inviting the mental cycle to multiply and go on and on and on by asking yourself a question that you actually need to answer on some sort of a mental level.
it doesn't really, there, and no answer really comes. It just like pulls me literally backwards into a witnessing, like I'm just here witnessing this. And there's not
Whatever
an
you
answer
are,
that says,
whatever you call it, whatever you call
okay.
it, it doesn't matter. Don't bother with this witness, no witness, I'm here, I'm with. You see, I think that this approach, honestly, it just somehow invites more and more and more of mental processing, when what we want to do is get away from mental processing, get away from
Mm,
attaching. This so-called self-inquiry, whatever it is, and apologize to everyone out there who is sort of got big success with it or whatever. I just feel really that it just pulls you even deeper into mental processing. Who is it that's testifying this is happening and this is a witness? And then we have this polarization again and division between a witness and whatever's going on. And who am I? Am I this witness? And,
mm,
it opens up this never ending stream of identification with the thoughts.
mm,
And you have not achieved anything, maybe momentarily, but not in the long run. In the long run, you want to be not attaching. And you're training your mind not to attach. And by doing what I said before, take that thought that really upsets you and go in. Just find the breath and the mantra and look at the thought without any analyzing who is the thought, who am I, what is the witness, why, blah, 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 blah. I mean, who
mm,
cares? And see the thought disappear. And then go on with the breath a little bit more and then come back. And when it comes again and it bothers you really much, you do it again. You are developing a habit of non attachment, a habit. It takes time to develop a habit. But by you always having this self inquiry and asking yourself whatever you're asking in self inquiry, which you have to because it's some sort of a self inquiry, you're not developing this habit of non attachment. You are actually staying with the habit and even deepening in a way because you're always asking and analyzing and and then you're mentally, you are pushing away the thought, but just mentally, not in any other way. You're witnessing pushing away the thought and blah, blah, blah. It's still a division.
mm,
Leave this self-inquiry, leave this. When there is situation, when find the thought that really bothers you. I mean, there is could be more, but find one. Look at it and go in, find the breath, look at the thought and see it disappear. This is non-attachment. And whenever this thought appears really strongly, brings a really strong reaction inside you,
mm.
do the same. No self-analyzing, no self-inquiry, no who is this, whatever. I don't even want to go there. I mean, get rid of that.
So on when I'm when I'm truly really like fastened on, latched on to that thought, and there's a lot of emotion coming up, You're saying still find within that space.
Yeah, don't let go. Angie, emotion is a consequence of a thought. There is no emotion if
mm,
there isn't a thought that comes
I
before the
know that.
emotion.
Mhm.
It's the thought you're dealing with. It's the thought you are not to attach to.
But sometimes I don't
I have a
always, if I'm
thought.
not paying attention, I don't always know what the thought is that precedes, that just the
Doesn't
tears
matter.
come or
Doesn't
something.
matter.
Okay.
You can find a thought at any time that will really upset you because you have situations that you know for you that are upsetting, like what you
Mm,
said before. I will
right.
never awaken in this lifetime. I have wasted my whole F word life trying to do this and I'm not getting anywhere. And I will probably even die before getting anywhere. What is the point of this? But a complete waste. If that doesn't bring you to tears, I mean, I don't know what does. But then just stay with it. Stay with it. Life is pain. Life is distress. Life can be anxiety. This is all life. We are not running away from life. Pain does not kill you. A heart attack can, but not a pain in itself. It's when it's a consequence of a thought. So you latch onto that thought and you look at it. Look at it straight into it, crying straight into it, not looking away, not stepping away because I don't want to cry, because crying is not good, because crying is. Why not? Pain is part of life. There's so many people running away from pain. I don't want a pain. Push it away, look away, find something else to do just to run away from it. No, you step into it. That's how you deal with pain in long term. You might have to step into it 100 times, but after that, you will have achieved something in a way of not attaching. Otherwise, you just constantly replenishing this cycle of mental involvement and engagement and attaching to the thoughts constantly. If it
Mm.
pains, Angie. Life is pain. Some people call this world, whatever it is, a valley of tears, not for nothing. Life has a lot of pain. Life has a lot of anxiety. Life has a lot of, we all know, everything you want to name.
So it's all attachment to thought, all of this stream of pain and suffering.
There is really no pain without attachment to the thoughts. A
Mm.
situation which for me can be like my dad is dying, for me that's quite beautiful now. The way I am in my space, he
Mm.
will be free of all this effort and pain, and you know what I mean. For someone
Yeah.
else, my dad is dying. It's just awful. My God, I just cry all the time. I can't stand this. Why is he dying? Well, he's dying because everyone who lives dies. He's dying because it's his time. It's dying because his physical form is coming to an end and he will go into your next life cycle.
Mm.
There are millions and millions and countless reasons why this thing is happening. Why is not the right question. It is happening. Okay? It is happening. And we accept what is
Mm.
happening. Why is not? It's unimportant completely. Like self image. People have so much
Mm.
problems with self image. They look at themselves in the mirror and they say, oh my God, you know what I mean? Look at this. I can't even look at it. I mean, really, what is this? I don't want to be like this. I mean, horrible. Now, I will have to do things to stop being like this. What can I do? What can I buy? What can I eat differently? What can I do? How can I change my life? But the first step is really just look at it. This is it. Okay? This is it. This is how it is. It cannot be any different. Everything in this lifetime, in previous lifetimes, has brought us to this space when this is it. You have to sit with it. You have to open up to it. Not run away from it. Not try to find ways to change it. Oh, I'm so fat. Oh my God. I mean, oh my God. I can't fit into any of the clothes. I can hardly walk. And people laugh at me, whatever. I can see the way they look at me, blah, blah, blah. So you are. So you are.
So once you look at it, okay, here's the question about acceptance, I guess. So I have lots of trouble with acceptance of what is, honestly. It's not necessarily body image, but it's the bigger questions of awakening and whatever. So, at what point when you accept, like, I feel like if I have total acceptance, nothing's going to change. Like, if I just totally
You
accept
have
I'm
no
not going to
idea.
awaken, nothing's going to happen. I'm just going to get up and go
But
through the
Angie, that is
regular.
another fault. That is another fault that you attach to completely. You just swallows. You just attach to it 100%. You have no reservation. It is just a thought. How can you bloody know? And so, excuse me, viewers, for saying that word. How can you bloody know what will happen once you accept when you have not been able to accept it for all this time? How do you know that? You have no idea, Angie, okay? You have no idea. No idea.
I
But
just
you're
feel like,
already mentally
yeah,
attaching to something you have no idea about. No idea. How would you bloody know that
I
when you
don't. I
don't
just
have
feel
an
like
experience of it?
if I accept something, I have no motivation to change because I've purely, totally opened and softened to the whole thing. So it's like, I don't care if I'm enlightened. I don't care if, like, I just work a terrible job the rest of my life. I really, if I accept that, what would make me want
Because
to
you're
motivate to
talking about
change?
something, you're talking about something that you have no experience of. When I accept something and I accept everything and I sit with it, with time and with acceptance, things open up. There is a certain development that starts inside that then transfers into what's happening on the outside. Things start moving in a certain direction that is different than what was the direction before when I did not have acceptance.
Mm.
And in this life, nothing stops. Sorry, nothing stops. Things always
Mm.
change, things always go in a certain way. But once you accept this way in which the things are going from inside out, will be different because of acceptance. And what will transpire on the outside in the physical world will be different than what's happening now. This is acceptance. But you can't know because you don't have an experience of it. But I have experience of acceptance. I accept everything. And on a physical level,
Mm.
things open up and they go in a different direction than what I did before. I had so much trouble with acceptance all my life. So much trouble. I could not live. I couldn't accept. I couldn't accept things from my childhood. I couldn't accept things in the present time. I couldn't accept things of broader, society, the way it's. I couldn't accept anything.
Hmm.
The only thing I could always unconditionally accept was my son and love for my son and my dad
Mm.
and all that. But everything else, I could not. And my life was so difficult, so difficult. Every day was just a struggle, constant struggle. But then when I opened up to it,
Yeah.
I accepted it. I opened up to it. I worked with it. I sat with these thoughts that really upset me. Really upset me. I got really upset even when I was thinking about my childhood, how I was done wrong, how people were doing not right things. It really upset me even when I was 50. Okay?
Hmm.
And I sat with these thoughts and I opened up and I laughed. I mean, I thought, oh my God, is this what I have been bothered with? And not just bothered, but really existentially
Yeah. I perseverate
all
on the
my
stuff.
life
Yeah.
up to now. Up to is this it? Now when I look back and I don't really experience it anymore on that level, but I can laugh. Well, I mean, really, really, I mean, and it took me so long. It took me so long,
Do you feel
and I
it?
suffered so much.
Do you feel then it just opens at that space? You're just saying just by practicing that simple thing of, it's not easy, but it's simple, the procedure. You look
Absolutely.
right at the thought and you're paying attention to your breathing.
Absolutely.
And
Straight in, till you see the thought disintegrate, fall apart, because thought is nothing. Thought is just, I mean, it's nothing. It's nothing. It's nothing in there. You know what I mean? And you have to witness this thought disintegrate to understand that it goes to nothing, okay? And then you do it again and again and again. And then I used to sit just with the thoughts that upset me, just with those thoughts that upset me. Straight in. Sometimes I cried, it upset me so much, but I still sat with it and I cried, okay?
you
But it
mean you
was
just
okay.
call those into your awareness? I mean, you're just sitting and you just
Absolutely.
bring those thoughts forward.
Even when it comes during the day, if I can, I deal with it on the spot, straight
Right.
away. I
Mm-hmm.
latch onto it, I look at it straight, I start with the breathing, turn inwards, and that's it. If I can't, there are cases, in circumstances in life when you're in a certain situation, you can't just turn in, you just sort of. Then at the first moment when I can, I go there and I sit with these thoughts. I just sit with these thoughts. And I bring up even a few more that I know would absolutely upset me, would absolutely devastate me. You know what I mean? Like before, we were talking about death. Even to think about, I could not ever before, ever, even think, okay? Even think about the death of my son. So that my son, and I just have one child, my son, that my son would die before me or would die soon, would die and would die. Absolutely could not bring myself even to think about it. Now I can accept, I cannot just think about it. I can open up to it. I can say, my son's life cycle, his karma, he's the way the things are going, because he's still attaching to the thoughts in a major way, more or less, although he's making progress, can bring him to a point where this life cycle will end. It is completely possible. Completely possible. You know
Yeah.
how they used to say how, but you see this, my son is, his nature is very nice. He's a very good, loving person, giving person. He's not a material, he's just, and whenever, even if that happens, and it is possible, Angie, that it can happen, of course, it would be 100 million times nice and bad if it doesn't, but it is possible that his life cycle, his karma, and whatever else brings him to the point where his physical body ends. It is possible, Angie. It is possible.
Yeah. I
But
worked through that.
he has
Yeah.
a lot of nice, good karma. He will go into the next life cycle where he will, and it is okay. It is okay. That is not to say that I will not miss my son, that I will not, I mean, it's just stupid even to say something like that. That as the person you might have in your life, so many expectations but I don't, you see, this is part of acceptance too. I do not have these expectations. In the past, I had these expectations that my son will have children, will have a family, I will be a grandmother, I will be somewhere close by, we will blah blah, we will blah blah, we will blah blah. I let go. I accepted it. I don't have these expectations. Maybe, Angela, maybe not. Maybe my son will live on the other side of the world, that I will never see him, or really, like my dad lives in Europe and I live in Australia. All this is possible, Angela, and I'm open to all of this, whichever way this life cycle goes.
Yeah.
You see
Yeah.
what I mean?
I've worked
This
through
is
the same
acceptance.
things. Mm-hmm.
This is acceptance. And I might never be a grandmother. I might never have grandchildren. I might never enjoy this thing. I wanted to even, see how it works. I spoke about that to you once with the small children from the birth on, to sort of try and introduce them from a very early age to this sort of a turning in and stuff like that. I might never have that experience, Angie. It might not, it never happen this way. And I'm
Right.
fine with it, Angie. I'm absolutely fine with it. It's just how it might be. And when it's like that, Angela, it's just like that. For countless reasons that are absolutely not important.
Yeah, I've worked through a lot of those same things already with my son, knowing that he may or may not be around, and that's okay. And the funeral home job actually
Yeah,
brought me to a lot of like acceptance of that. Um, Seeing other families go through similar things, death of a child, you know, bathtub accidents, all sorts of things.
yeah. And it's already happened, as I said at the start. You see, this is the really big point. It's already happened. It
Mm,
is not that we can go back and change it. It is absolutely not possible. It's already happened for countless reasons, and it doesn't really matter because there are so many reasons why it happened in this lifetime, in previous lifetimes. And you have the experience of acceptance. You see how it's completely different once you open up to it and accept it.
well, those seem like easy topics for me. I mean, it wasn't for those families for sure. Uh, but yeah, the places I'm stuck are a little different than that.
So you have to work with your difficult topics. Each
Hmm.
one of us has to work with their difficult topics, whatever that is. And there are not more important or less important. For someone, being fat is more important than I
Mm,
don't know. You know what I mean? Dying tomorrow,
right.
not wanting to be fat, not wanting to be in this body, not wanting to, I don't know. Child dying, a lot of people can't go on living. I mean, they feel like the life has stopped. They cannot. I used to somehow, there was a period in my life earlier when I was fascinated with that, when people could not, like 20 years on, 30 years on, could
Right.
not. And I just thought, oh God, please don't let it happen to me and all that, because as I said, I could not even think of it. The
Mm,
life has stopped. They cannot accept. They cannot accept. But the acceptance is key. The acceptance is accessible to each one of us. We are only accepting what has already happened. And we also, when it comes to death, have an understanding. Maybe some of us have not understanding here, but understanding here
mm.
that this person will go into another life cycle, and so on and so on and so on. And you know what I mean? Like it's just a death of a physical body. It is not a death of a completely, annihilation, obliteration of everything.
Yeah. Can I bring this down, switch gears a little bit? And
Whatever you
can
like,
I
Anjali.
can I bring this down to a micro level? So
Please,
acceptance at
please.
a micro level. You're going through you get up in the morning, you're in a bad mood, or something happens that you followed a thought, you're now not in a good mood, and what? You just accept, like, I'm not in a good mood now. Or you just grab that thought you're saying and go back to the breath.
Look, first thing always is I'm not in a good mood. I mean, what's wrong with that?
So you identify it, you name it, basically, like.
Of course, I'm not in a good mood. Now, if there is resistance inside, I work on it. If there is no resistance, it's fine.
So that's what I'm saying. So there's that, it's a sort of that duality of saying, okay, I'm in a bad mood. I don't care. I'm accepting that I'm in a bad mood. So that may or may not continue, but I'm not going to make any effort to change it. It just is. I'm going to watch it. Or
You're not
like,
watching it. It's just happening like that, the way it's happening. You know what I mean? If it bothers you, if you could hurt other people, if you could, because you're in a bad mood, you sit with it. You know what I mean? If there is a resistance inside, there could be resistance because some people say I'm in a bad mood, but I don't really want to hurt this person or that person because it happens when I'm in a bad mood. There could be resistance. Like some people, even at work, say sometimes in the morning, look, please stay away from me today. I'm in a bad mood. I don't want to do something, that might hurt you or whatever. So they have some resistance inside, this bad mood inside them. So they should work with this resistance.
I was talking about more of a benign thing. I just like wake up, I haven't had a good night's sleep. I'm hot or something. I don't know what it is. Just silly, trivial thing, and I realize I'm not in a good mood. I'm really just not in a good mood. And it's not like I'm going
That's
to
okay.
hurt anyone or whatever, but so I just accept, train myself
You're not
to
in a good mood,
breathe
Angie. What's wrong with that? There are
well, because I
many,
feel
many
like a
days in
lot
this
of
life
times,
that,
like yeah, I'm depressed or like this is like the same old today. So, like just go back to breathing and eventually those things will
yeah,
abate.
yeah. Look, Anjali, I'll put it this way. There are many, many, many countless things in this life that can cause a person to be in a bad mood, to be depressed. There are countless, okay? Let's not even get into it.
Right.
And it's just normal. It's just normal to be depressed. It's normal to be in a bad mood. There is bloody so much to be in a bad mood about. There is so much to be depressed about. It's just how it is. I think when people want to just, fight this depression, fight this not feeling good, fight this. I don't want to be like this. I don't want to be like this. This is going nowhere. Nowhere. This is just multiplying the bad mood, multiplying the depression, multiplying the mental engagement with it, multiplying this commentary on what is happening. It's commentary anyway.
Mm.
Just, it's okay. It's okay. I get up. I live in an apartment I don't like. I pay too much rent for it. I go to the job which I absolutely despise, and I have to do it because I need money. This life is bloody awful, and it is. And I feel really bad about it, and I do. But it's what it is. It is like this. It is like this. And if I can really embrace the way it is, I can slowly move into a space where some things will start developing on the inside, where there will be no resistance, where I won't be spending all my time and energy with dealing with these things that I feel but don't want to feel.
Mm.
But because I will accept it, a certain development will start from the inside that will later show on the outside. And I will find certain directions with time that will lead me into some, different sort of ways of dealing with things, or things will change gradually on the outside too, because there will be this change in the inside. People spend so much time, effort, energy, and everything of their life just with dealing with this mental processing,
Mm.
dealing with things they don't want to feel, they don't want to be like this, they don't want to feel like that, they don't want to. Mate, it's already here. You know what I mean? It's happening.
Well, some of it is projection into the future, and some of it is past perseveration, perseveration on past events. So it's not all necessarily what is. Like my bad mood in the morning might be just what is at the time that it happens.
But it's all mental processing, Angie, and you do
Mm.
really want to develop a habit of not attaching to the mental processing. And if you find this thought about a future that is just really bleak and really makes you feel really bad or even worse, you
Mm.
sit with that thought. It's just crap, you know what I mean? I mean, the thought is crap.
Right. Well,
But it affects you. It affects you.
what about the people that are saying also, I heard it every day at work that I go in there, just find a happy thought and, think about that instead.
Angie, it's a thought. It
That's
comes
what
and
I
it goes. It's attachment to a certain thought. And what when you and then you have to latch on to it and just hold on to it like for your life.
the
Because
happy
this
one.
is your
Mm.
savior, this happy thought. And what when you can't access that happy thought, or what when this happy thought just somewhere hard to sort of stay with, and which is just how it happens. It's just this goes nowhere, Angie, okay? This goes nowhere. This is just
Well,
another
yeah.
attachment. And you have a thought that works for you, a happy thought, and then this happy thought with time is not your happy thought anymore. So you have to find another happy thought
Mm.
that does the job, and then latch on to that. And I just waste. I mean, really, honestly, it's just you're wasting your time, with these happy thoughts and stuff. You know what I mean? But look, I don't know. You, I just want to reiterate this one thing really, really.
Mm.
You just, before you really experience acceptance, you can't really know what it's like, okay? It's the same with so-called spiritual awakening or blah, blah, blah. You cannot possibly know what it is like before you experience it. Everything in connection with it before is just mental juggling.
Mm.
It's the same with acceptance. But you can experience it sooner and you are on a way to experience it yourself if you practice what we talked about here. If you open yourself up for practice, it does not come by itself. We just have to work on it. I worked on it and I had so many issues that I mean,
Right. Mm.
so many issues and all honestly, when at certain point in life I was just like that. I like analyzing things too and all that. I was a big analyzer, so I went from one area of my life to like all major areas of my life, and I could not find one major area in my life apart from my son and my dad that were not absolutely out of whack and absolutely troubling me and absolutely feel resistance against it. Not one. Would you believe it? Not one. And my life was just so painful. It really honestly
Mm.
was. Now I really bring it up, but because it comes in, I mean, the thought about it comes and goes, but it was really, 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 I mean, it was hard, Angie, it was hard. And I said so many
Yeah.
times, life is hard. But now, I mean, it opens up, it opens up. Now I smile about all these things.
Mm.
It opens up. And I say I'll die tomorrow, and I mean, it's nice. Like, I
Right.
just, it doesn't really, it's perfectly fine. You see, this is obviously also acceptance of our own death, not just death of, what I mean, other people, or, what I mean, which is,
Right.
I could not. I want to, you see, is it okay if I just say a few words about that?
Mm.
Accepting your own death. Like in the past, I was a person who could not think about it because my heart would just start. It would just, such a huge anxiety would envelop me, even thinking that this, like Diana, which I was, like born as, and this person will one day stop existing, stop, just will be
Mm.
nothing, no more of this person. It would absolute me, almost a panic attack. So I would absolutely always avoid this thing at any cost, avoid even, slight thinking or going in that direction. Of course, I just want to say, you see a progress. It's such a progress, Angie. And if someone would have told me at that point in time, blah, blah, acceptance, blah, blah,
Mm.
awakening, blah, blah, I would say, what would that change? I mean, you're just talking crap, you know what I mean? At that point in time, when I was feeling like that, I would
Right.
say, you have no idea what I feel inside, what acceptance. I mean, please just, you know, go somewhere else. You
Mm.
know what I mean?
Right.
You see how you cannot know before you actually experience it. You cannot.
What's interesting for me is that I would have said, probably from my mid 20s onward, I was not afraid to die. I had worked on that, like thought about it, like looked at it, envisioned 100 different scenarios. It all felt like, all right, that's fine. But it's interesting as my practice, like, I don't even know if it's moving along, but as this process is unfolding, like this past year, whatever this process is, my brain's turning to mush. I feel a certain amount of sadness, and it's a layer of, I guess, anxiety. Like things are falling away, so I'm no longer who I like identified myself as before, which we talked about in the last segment too. So that's a certain kind of death. It's like the death of the ego or the I, or parts of the pieces of myself that I identified with strongly. And that feels
But you see,
like way more anxiety inducing than like the actual body death. Being hit by a train or
I would
whatever. I
like
saw
you.
everything.
I'm so sorry, Angie. I am actually very rudely now barging in,
No, go
just
ahead.
because I want to touch on this. I want to touch on this anxiety of yours. You see why? You see why? You were not afraid of to die, but now you are. Because if you die tomorrow, you won't be enlightened. You won't awaken. You will die without awakening. You will. You see what I mean? This awakening that you really want so much, and you think about so much, and you mentally. If you die tomorrow, there will be no awakening for you, Angie. You will go into another life cycle and another, and who knows? You know what I mean?
I I
This is
feel
now for
that.
you anxiety
Yeah.
causing. Anxiety causing.
But there's some layer of this that's also, I'm just trying to like understand this myself. There's some layer to this that, as parts of me, old me or whatever I used to identify with fall away, there is anxiety about what I'm going to look like while I'm still in this body.
How
In
is that
other
important?
words, like, am I going to be just sitting in a chair drooling on myself, or like don't care about living, don't care about even holding a job because I can't think anymore? Or like, I mean, those are the kinds of things that I
Angie,
think,
honestly, you
gosh.
see, again, you have to sit with these things. Sit with these
Mm,
things. These are just thoughts about something you have absolutely no
right.
idea about. No idea. How would you bloody know? You're just
Fear of the
mentally
unknown.
imagining, you're just latching on to the thoughts.
Mm,
It's just absolute, nonsense. You have to work with this. You have to actually work with this when you have this thought and you have time to do it. Work with it. Who cares what you're going to be like? Who cares? How is I mean, where does that come into?
I guess I don't want to just be a vegetable.
Angie,
I
you
mean,
have
yeah,
no
who
idea
would
what that
care?
is. You have no idea what it is, Angie. And you're just speculating again, speculating
Mm,
about something that you have no idea. You also have no idea about what being a vegetable is.
I
So you're
don't.
speculating about two things that you have absolutely no idea about. You're just a bloody
Mm.
wanker. You're speculating when you know what I mean. You're just going on and engaging yourself in things that you have no clue about. You see, two topics that you absolutely, honestly, Angie, what would you bloody know about any of those topics?
I don't.
But you engage with them, you spend your time with engaging with them with this nonsense that cannot lead anywhere, but into more frustration, more engagement with nonsense. Also sometimes people, when they have a lot of time on their hands, and I'm talking time, engage with a lot of things like that because there is a lot of time. The mind, how they call it, the mind is idle, the body is idle,
Mm,
and they engage with a lot of things that maybe otherwise they wouldn't have, but because there is time that has to be filled with something, and then it's filled with that. And that is also a practical issue of what do you do with your day, or it doesn't matter, or your night, or whichever way people live, or are awake or not awake, or it doesn't matter. But let's say you have
mm.
24 hours in your day. What do you do with these 24 hours in your day? We're still in the body, so we obviously still, most of us, some of us are obviously maybe have some sort of a thing that stops us from moving, stops us from this, but let's say on average, we still have these bodies that can move, they can do things, they can do this, they can do that.
Mm.
What are we doing with this physical form that we're still attached to in these 24 hours? If we idle too much, if we don't, practically, on a practical level, this is completely practical level, do something with this form that is supposed or made in a certain way because it's supposed to do things. We have these hands, we have the legs, we have the muscles, we have this, we have that, we have them for a certain reason because
Mm.
they have a certain function in our life. And when we sort of somehow, in a way, it happens when people are depressed, it happens when people have time off and they go on a holiday and they think they can just always sit around on a holiday and stuff like that and
Mhm.
be happy for the rest of their lives, blah blah blah. We all know it's nonsense, but you know what I mean. On a practical
Mm.
level, it is very important. What do we do with these 24 hours? Because otherwise, we'll be more than otherwise, more than in case if we do something with things that are supposed to be doing something, we end up engaging in heaps and heaps and heaps of mental processing. Because we cannot always just be turned inwards and whatever. There are times when
Right.
we're not. There are times when and we just 100% attached because it's something to do in a certain way. It's something to do on a certain level. And the time goes by and we can spend quite a few hours every day engaging with these things, and it's something to do. We're obviously doing something. We're engaging with these things, and then we're feeling even more our dissatisfaction or our anxiety or our whatever, even more, Angie, because of so much time that needs to be filled somehow.
Mm.
Unless, as I say, unless we are debilitated to the level that we just cannot, which is possible, but then it's a completely different thing because we don't know
Right.
how that, we do not have an experience of that, so we can't talk of that, okay?
Mm.
You see, these are all practicalities of, it all comes down to really, we are in this life, we are, and we are not pretending that we are not in this life, and we live. Awakening is not somewhere else, or acceptance is not somewhere else. We are not taking time out to awaken. We are not taking time out of life to accept. We are doing it while we live with the things
Mm.
that we come across every day. You see what I mean? Of course, it's
Yes.
important that we
Mm-hmm.
leave enough space in mentally that we can open the space and stuff like that, so we don't go and do something that just you know what I mean, like,
Right.
but we do something that we can keep this space relatively open and sort of, which there are many things in this life that we can do while still keeping this space reasonably open.
Mm.
But we need to live. We cannot say we are not monks. We are not living in some sort of a order. And in that order, Angie, if you go and live in an order, the life is completely structured
Mm.
from the moment they open up their eyes to the moment they go to bed, because they understand that if the day is not filled with things to do, with things to deal with, they will just mentally engage.
Mm.
So this is the practical aspect of it too, of a practical aspect of all of this, of acceptance, of awakening, of of all of this.
Right.
That's why I always say we turn in when we can during the day. We go on with life. We live. I mean, I do things every day. I obviously live with the land, and I have to do things, but never mind that. And while I'm doing things, while I'm living, while I do things as a live person, as a capable physically and whatever, blah, blah, I turn inwards whenever I can. Still, although I'm got to the certain, depth, but I'm still doing that. I'm still going with the mantra. I still sometimes sit and go even deeper to get even a few more insights. But the life goes on. I live. I do not engage as much as other people. I do not engage with certain mental processing as media and this and that and small chat and that because it's not the way I live, but I live. I do things every day. I have not taken myself out of everyday life in order to achieve something on a sort of different level. It's all on one level, Angie. All is one. You cannot separate it and then hope for some good holistic outcome. It is not happening because it's all one. It is not this and that and that and that, and you know what I mean? Like,
Right. I got it.
I changed the direction a bit, but I just again wanted to reiterate the practical aspect of all this. It is just so practical, completely practical. It is life. It is part of life, everyday life. We obviously have to tinker with it a bit, but we're not taking ourselves out of it at all. We are in it. We've tinkered a bit, we've made a few changes, but we are in it.
Right.
Anyway.
Gosh. On that note, that's lovely. I got it.
So shall we conclude, Angie, for today and say we apologize
There's no apology needed.
to... Oh, no, there was Ottilia. Was it Ottilia? I apologize to Ottilia. There was a question about the,
No.
I think, Angie, influence of culture, culture, influence of culture on the spiritual development.
Oh,
From
did we
before
forget
that
them?
we
I
have
totally
not
forgot.
addressed yet. No,
Next
I just want
time.
to say, Ottilia, absolutely, we will get to it. And thank you for being and staying with us. And Mitesh, I don't know if we addressed your particular specific issue in any way, but I hope that we did somehow in even a little way. And if anything more you want to add, please write it down, put it in the comments or email or whatever you want to do, please. Shall we conclude, Angie?
Yeah, I'm out of words.
For today? Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Anjali. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next time. If the time doesn't change on your side, then it'll probably be the same time. But if it does change, anyway, with the
Yeah, it's
time
the same
zones and all that,
time.
same
It's
place,
the
same
same
time.
time. Yep. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Di.
Bye.